Now it's time to cross live to Florida for an exclusive interview with former close personal friend of Boris Johnson, Jennifer Arcuri. And Boris has been back in the headlines this week as he navigated his way through some tricky questions at the COVID inquiry. Here's how he defended this mysterious loss over 5,000 WhatsApp messages sent during the pandemic.
Do you know why your phone was missing those 5,000 odd WhatsApps?
I don't know the exact reason, but it looks as though it's something to do with the app going down and then coming up again, but somehow not.
But Jennifer Arcuri thinks that she may be able to help. Now, she was a close personal friend and business associate of Boris Johnson's, claiming to have had an intimate relationship with the former Prime Minister between 2012 and 2016. But, as fate would have it, Arcuri is also a technology entrepreneur with expertise in data recovery. And tonight, she is sensationally offering to help expose some of these missing WhatsApps, saying it is possible to recover WhatsApp messages. If anyone wants to see what they are hiding, I've got the team. There's quite a lot to discuss here. Jennifer, thank you very much for joining us. Firstly, welcome to the show. You are confident that you can get these WhatsApp messages, are you? Could you just talk me through that, please?
Sure, and thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to explain this, although I can't stand this idea of a woman scorned. Nothing I said is because I'm scorned. I'm just simply stating the facts. I have a cybersecurity company in the UK, which I've run for many years. Most of the people running the cybersecurity industry in the UK, I've either worked with directly or are familiar with me, but most importantly are familiar with my team's work. So I think I need to stress a few points here that we are kind of glossing over. As information, in your phone is not just stored on an app. It's actually, stored throughout the hardware and the operating system. There are data stores throughout both. And frequently that means that when information is deleted, a person can recover this information. Now, we would use our team's technical abilities to recover and reevaluate all that data. We'd scrutinize the electronic components of the phone, and really the key here is that we're missing the interactions with not just the device itself, but with every other device it came into contact with, to ascertain and detail the exact timeline of events that led to this deletion of data and any deliberate attempts to do so. I think, this is incredibly important that there is a crypto analysis in every effort to recover these deleted messages, because it can be done. It is possible.
Do you not think that maybe
and this inquiry should be demanding access to the laptop to restore that by Johnson's own admission, was used to recover this phone.
Right.
So,
I'm going to ask you. I'm just going to ask you. Do you not think that maybe Boris Johnson has been through enough? He nearly died during this coronavirus pandemic. He was, many people think, hounded out in the end by a kangaroo court. Had his personal life delved into quite a lot, to be fair. I mean, does he really need this now? He's being even put up with things like false graphs and false data about excess deaths and so. I mean, does he really need this? Has he not been through enough, do you think?
I apologize, the sound is going in and out, so I think I hear your question. Does he really need this scrutiny? The truth is, it's just started. The man was responsible for the single biggest crime against humanity. And while the media might keep touting this sympathetic, like you just did, you made it seem as if this man was completely innocent and void of all scrutiny. The reality is he and by his own admission, his ignorance of incompetence of understanding not only the technology, what does that say about the other decisions across the board? I mean, there's a lot of data right now that's showing, the excess mortality rates. people locked into their homes. People died because of the decisions that were made on hypothetical models, trusting the experts and the
I think it's
scientists.
difficult for people to claim, though, Jennifer. It's difficult for people to claim that Boris Johnson wasn't on top of the brief and he was a bit scattergun and he wasn't getting briefed correctly, and then also claim that he's directly responsible for a lot of these. Was he not just listening to modelling, false modelling, people putting huge amounts of pressure on him, the media putting huge amounts of pressure on him, what other countries were doing? I mean, do you really singularly blame Boris Johnson for this? And this is why I do think it's relevant for our viewers. I don't mean any offence by asking this, genuinely, Jennifer, but I think it is a bit of the elephant in the room. You know, are you so anti him because of the history that you've had with him?
Absolutely not. Not even kind. That's old news. This man that they're parading around calling Boris Johnson and his team were taking orders in this entire setup. So whether we want to dismiss them as he just didn't know and that, you know, plausible deniability, he wasn't given all the information, or just choosing not to, he was still responsible for what decisions were made, and his team were. I mean, people were locked in the care homes. They weren't allowed to be with their loved ones. I mean, can we even talk about midazolam, or am I going to be canceled on this? I mean, all of the cabinet were taking orders from someone. At what point do we claim accountability? People should be given the truth, should be allowed to see all those messages. What were they hiding? This seems like a deliberate attempt. Imagine if a criminal went into their own court submitting their own evidence. I mean, this was handed over by his legal team. Why aren't we inquiring as to what actually happened between these two? And why is the government using third-party apps like Zoom and WhatsApp that are clearly not secure and allowed to get rid of information on a whim? So these are the questions people should be asking. I think this inquiry is an attempt to whitewash what happened and a way to dismiss and excuse this unprecedented event, you know, with a sad face. And as we lay claim to all the unfortunate lives lost, it's a mockery for the people that lost loved ones. And I think there should be a demand and answers, you know, to sit there and say, poor Boris, are you serious? This whole act of him going into COVID, where are those nurses that resuscitated him and brought him back to life? They disappeared as soon as they emerged. This was all orchestrated, and the people need to wake up and ask questions around what really happened. Who were these men taking orders from? Who were they really investing in? Because it wasn't.
All right, Jennifer, look, thank you very much for joining us. Incredibly strong stuff, no doubt. As you will be aware, Boris Johnson will contest a lot of that. He's not here to defend himself, but I appreciate you coming on and giving us your view anyway. As Jennifer Arcuri there, who was offering to try to help get some of these WhatsApp messages back. I know that Boris remains very, very popular with a lot of our viewers, and it'll be interesting to see what you make of that. Do you think that it's unfair, and do you think that some of the allegations that were put there, which he no doubt will refute massively, are actually a bit unhinged?